Chapter 2, Installation on Mac OS X. We're supporting 10.6.8, which is Snow Leopard or later, which is about 4 or 5 years old now, so just make sure you're current enough for iD22. And then have a look in the packing box, and in there you'll find a 2GB ID key or USB key. On there you'll find brochures for things like the ASP008, which is a great way to expand an iD22 with a further 8 channels of mic preamp, high pass filters, etc. You can check out our consoles, all the way up to the 8024, and also the Miko, which is a great way to expand iD22 with another 2 channels of mic preamplification. So you have 4 inputs in total, 1 with Veriphase, 1 with HMX, and 2 with insert points on iD22. Okay, then up next you'll find a web link which will take you straight to the iD22 web page, which you may have already checked out. Here you'll find PDF manuals, block diagrams, the same desktop background that I'm using in the video if you want to pimp your Mac, and you'll find the latest software and firmware to download if you don't use the web installer that comes on the USB key, which is the next step. If you double click the web installer, then what will launch is our installer package, which will actually download straight from our servers the latest version, so you won't be installing an older version of software if we release updates, which we will do. So if you follow the install procedure, enter your password, it will install into Macintosh HD. Installation time will be dependent on download speed, but it's pretty quick. As you can see, I'm downloading this remotely from the server, so it doesn't take too long, and that's us installed. So we'll close that window, and then what we'll do is drag the iD22 icon into the dock. So if you browse to Macintosh HD and then applications, and then halfway down the list there, in my list, you'll find iD22, and we'll drag that into the dock. You can check here what version of software you're on. We're on a pre-release, but you should be looking for version 1 or higher. And then just drag that over to the dock there and drop it wherever you need it. That's it. So we're pretty much ready to connect the hardware. So step 1, you're going to plug in the 12V DC power adapter to iD22. You'll notice in the packing box that you have ends for Australian, EU, US and UK mains plugs, so it's very simple to plug in. Next step, grab the USB cable, take the type B end, plug it into iD22, and then the final step, just connect the type A end, the big end, into your computer. So when powering up the unit, you'll notice that the main meters on the front will go full scale, just to show that we've got DC power, and then the status LED will flash for approximately 9 seconds. This is just stabilizing USB communication, and once it's a solid green LED, you're good to go. So what we'll do now is check out system preferences and audio MIDI setup on the Mac. So first up, go to system preferences. If you can't find that, that'll be Macintosh HD application system preferences. And here you want to check that iD22 is used as the input and output device in the input and output tabs at the top. I would personally recommend setting the sound effects, the built-in system sounds, to your internal speakers if you have them on a laptop or an iMac or something. That way you don't get really loud beeps out of your studio monitors at 100 dB. So next up, go to audio MIDI setup, probably best to find that with Spotlight, and view the audio window. And here you should see Audient iD22 as the input and output device, and you should see the channel count reported accurately. So in the case of inputs here, you've got 2 analog ins and 8 ADAT digital inputs. And then in the output tab, we have 6 analog outputs, or the 6 DACs with 8 ADAT outputs. Sample rate's really important here because it should be set to whatever your DAW session sample rate is. And if you're using an external digital device to clock iD22 via ADAT or SPDIF, then it should also match here. Okay, it's time to launch the iD Mixer application, and we're going to use this to check the current version of firmware and firmware update. Okay, so launch the application, and then if you navigate to the help menu at the top and the check for updates option, and what this will do will launch the firmware updater, and we can either check back to our server to find the latest version, or if you downloaded it from the website, you could browse to a disk file and you could load it from there. But what we're going to do is update from our server, so select the top option and then hit the next button, and what this is going to do is then look online for our latest firmware for the hardware unit, and then it's going to give us the option to update. So we'll select the update option, and you should notice that it will flash the firmware to the hardware iD22 unit quite quickly, and that's it. And just click done or OK and close the firmware updater, and then if we reboot the application just for the firmware to take effect, then we're ready to go, and we'll have a look at the application itself.